Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Have you seen the Pokémon Legends Z-A trailer? Have you seen it? So it's been about a month since the announcement trailer dropped, but I still want to talk about it a little. Now, the trailer doesn't reveal a whole lot, so there isn't much to remark on, but there is plenty to speculate on. Since it's a Legends game, it's probably safe to assume that Z-A will reiterate on everything that made Legends Arceus different from a mainline Pokémon game up to that point. A plot where you're isekai'd into a pre-league Pokemon world and immediately conscripted into a local organization to resolve a supernatural threat, where you, the trainer, can be hurt by Pokemon or falls, but can also gather materials, craft items, and throw Pokeballs and other items without starting a battle. A game that starts with the title character tasking you with completing a Pokedex to encounter again, and then rolling crits after dealing with Dalgia and Palkia, as if you forgot you were here to catch God! It's the title character, not bonus content! Anyway, it has been confirmed that Legends Z-A will take place entirely within Illumio City that is being redeveloped, speculated to be around the same time period Legends Arceus takes place. Now, it's my understanding that there have been complaints about this, and I get it. I played Pokemon Y, and Lumiose is easy to get lost in because everything kinda looks the same. But towns and RPGs are an abstraction. Have you seen a town in Pokemon? 5 houses, a Pokemon Center, and a store. Where do these people even work? Where are the schools? What sort of infrastructure is this? And don't get me started on roads. Also, this is Lumio City in the process of presumably becoming the Lumio City we know today. The city is analogous to real-world Paris, which was completely torn down and rebuilt a couple hundred years ago. Legendary Lumios will probably be a patchwork of various architectural aesthetics from various time periods and cultures and visions trying to build around each other. And that's just what's still standing. We'll likely see construction sites, demolition zones, and maybe even some straight-up wilderness and rural areas. And then the plot kicks in. Did you see the anime's take on Lysander's plot to destroy the world? A berserk Zygarde just throwing giant vines around everywhere. But this is Pokemon Legends. In Legends Arceus, we had the frenzied nobles to contend with. I doubt any Pokemon had such revered status in Kalos in those days, so they'll likely be more like the Titans from Scarlet and Violet. Just random Pokemon that got supercharged, possibly even Mega Evolving, and literally erupting with elemental powers that spread all over whatever districts they happen to be in. What better way to have an ice zone or a fire zone or even a desert smack dab in the middle of the city? There's no reason Legendary Lumio City can't have the same diversity as an entire region. A lot of Pokemon regions are actually based on real-world cities after all. As for Mega Pokemon, I feel doubtful there will be any new ones. Sure, Sui had regional forms and evolutions that don't exist in modern Sinnoh, but those can be transferred to Paldea. Giving a Pokemon a new form it can only have in one game just feels like a wasted effort to me. At least Mega Evolution got as far as Sun and Moon and the Let's Go games before being dropped altogether. Then again, we're just a couple generations away from the X and Y remakes. Maybe Mega Evolution will stick around until Gen 10. But if things are going absolutely cataclysmic and we're expanding on Mega Evolution, then I think a genericized version of Mega Evolution is the way to go. That was basically Dynamax. Every Pokemon could do it, but only a few could Gigantamax. Z moves were like that too, as most were type-specific, but some Pokemon had bespoke ones too. And Terastallization is basically the same as Dynamax, but without Gigantamax. Mega Evolution can be exactly like that. Slap on a new shader or an aura, maybe even a funny hat. It could be the Mega Evolution symbol. You'd probably need a generic Mega Stone to do it yourself, but I can imagine these Demi-Megas roaming the city like the Alpha Pokemon of Legends Arceus. Wild idea, right? Alright, what else? Let's talk logos. I'm hearing that people think just because there wasn't some unrecognizable system logo next to the Switch logo at the end of the trailer, that this game won't be on a system we don't even know the name of yet. I mean, that's an understandable conclusion, maybe even likely. But what would be the point of putting a Switch 2 logo on there when we don't even know what it's actually called yet? If Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild can launch on both a next-gen and last-gen system simultaneously, I think there's little reason a Pokemon game couldn't do the same. I mean, maybe that was a problem in Gen 3, but I think once the internet is standard on the console it's on, you can stop worrying about how it's going to communicate with its successor. Then there's the unrecognizable logo seen during the trailer. You'll probably guess that this is the company we'll be drafted into, no pun intended, when Truck-kun drops us off in town. The player team of this game, if you will. Well, probably more like Claire Construction Corporation. Assuming it's led by Lysander's great-grandparent, of course. Could be Clement and Vine's ancestors. Could be both. Although, if sticking so rigidly to how Legends Arceus did it? The real head honcho was probably Professor Sycamore's grandfather. Of course, there's no reason it has to work like that. Otherwise, we'd probably head to Unova first and have the Plasma Survey team meet with the Black and White tribes. Also, the name of the game itself is kind of odd. Z-A. Obviously a nod to the Pokemon Z game Game Freak was going to make, but never got around to. But if the Z is for Zygarde, the third legendary of X and Y, then perhaps the A is for Arceus. That's probably pretty obvious. Anyway, I would imagine that Arceus plays the same role in this game as in Legends Arceus. As I ranted earlier, Arceus sent you to Hisui with the task of meeting all the other Pokemon there before you can see it again, upgraded your smartphone so the GPS works without satellite data, then pretty much locked the ability to achieve this goal until after the end credits. The actual main story is you calming down the frenzied nobles and then doing the same to Dialga and Palkia. And bringing down the real instigator of this fiasco was a post-credit scenario. The A will likely also start with Arceus sending you to Lumio City to catch all the Pokemon, then relegating that to the post-credits bonus content for after you take down the frenzied Mega Titans, Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. Why not have all three in this game? They could get new forms like Dialga and Palkia did. Arceus too with that legendary plate if you want to count that. Maybe Xerneas and Yveltal could have a sealed form, or an incomplete form, or a Zygarde augmented form. Zygarde itself could have additional stages of completion beyond the original 10, 15, 100% forms. Maybe even a 200% form, which sounds kind of dumb saying out loud, but it could happen. Of course, Hoopa can summon people too, and it's one of Gen 6's mythical Pokemon. Its hoops can access alternate dimensions, and it could send you to the legendary Lumio City as a prank. But then I feel like this would be Legends Hoopa, so I think Arceus is more likely. The Arceus you got for completing the first one was only a piece of the real Arceus after all. And I like the idea that followers like us are the 1,000 arms it is said to have shaped the world with, and Z-A being the reverse of A to Z suggests going back to the beginning, doesn't it? The beginning of Lumio City as we know it, of course. Also, if we go back to the beginning, or the trailer, the presentation signs off with a jumble of unknown. This Soyue is likely just an anagram of Siyu, but there's still speculation that it isn't. If we read that backwards, we get Yuyas, which means absolutely nothing right now, but maybe it's what Lumio City was called before its redevelopment. Yuya City has an interesting ring to it, doesn't it? And speaking of beginnings, there's the starters. There was no League in Legends Arceus, and the Sinnoh starters could be found in the wild. You got starters from other games, and only because you helped the professor run them up. That was in Hisui, and by the end it seems we may have planted the ideas of Pokemon training as a sport rather than as a means of survival or spirituality. If Z-A takes place sometime after that, it's possible some formalized systems have sprung up. Not as developed as the League is today, but certainly the start of it. It might be reasonable to think we'll just get the original Calv stars again, but that's kind of boring, isn't it? Especially after Legends Arceus set up a remix with new regional forms for them to evolve into. I think we'll see that again. Maybe even more convergent evolutions of other Pokemon too. That'd be neat. There are so many interesting new features and elements in Legends Arceus. Some are popular enough they were shoehorned into Scarlet and Violet, so Game Freak must know we expect certain things going forward. But what we expect from a Legends game might not be what they think a Legends game is. They might consider the Legends brand to be an experimental venue to try radical new ideas in. Z-A could just be a city-building game for all we know, with none of the mechanics from any other Pokemon game. But I think they'd have to be pretty dense to think we don't have preconceived notions of what a Legends game is, especially since they already have Pokemon games of various other genres. Z-A will likely be very similar to Legends Arceus, with experimental new features bolted on top. So what do you think? Will Lumio City be the epicenter of elemental chaos? Will wild megas roam the streets? Will Arceus drop a truck on us? Well, until the next trailer, that remains to be seen.